Hello to my first concurrent viewer. I guess fair to call it concurrent viewer when it's just one. But I'm sure there'll be more coming. And I'm going to just talk to myself a little bit for a minute to fill the air, as they say. Yeah, I really hope my friend comes back from holiday soon and can make that jingle. That would be fun. Noticing the camera might be a bit blurry. It's fine here. I don't know why it's okay. Thing. Yep, first viewer, hyper NFT, and for a very positive show today, since I've actually given it an amber dot instead of a red dot, which is something. Okay, let's give it another 20 seconds or so, and then I'll get started. In the meantime, you can just imagine some sort of like nice piano music, sort of improvised jazzy sort of thing, going like kind of like elevator music, but better. Just imagine that, and yeah, maybe don't imagine it too hard, otherwise it will get annoying, like elevator music. Right. So let's get started. Welcome to the daily NFT market health report by me, Daniel Tenner, aka Swombat, where I try to analyze what's going on with the market from the perspective of value, so with the perspective of data rather than just Twitter and Discord vibes, which feels particularly important in these times because right now I think finally after, in my opinion, all the signs were there for quite some time, the people on Discords and Twitter are starting to say, well, it's kind of like the meme, like, is this a bear? And if you've been watching these stats for any time, you know that I've been calling this bear for quite some time. And the signs were there and the prices were dropping. And I don't know why people just don't see that. I guess there's a kind of bit of motivated reasoning. So I think it's better to look at the actual data, the actual stats, which I keep improving all the time. As we'll see in this show, there's a kind of beginning of a price, sort of index price chart, which will be good fun to go and see how volume correlates with prices. But first, let's look at the indices. So here's the sort of summary view. We were hoping that the top 10 would form a higher low and start sort of like zigzagging upwards. This is looking quite plausible at this point, and we'll go back into the detail of this. Similarly for the Zeneca Old, Zeneca New, which is more recent, less projects that are less likely to be regarded as blue chips. Although there are some like doodles which are in the Zeneca New thing, so it's not all just recent stuff. But anyway, that's still trending down, as is for now the women-led projects. So let's look at the bar charts first of all. We can see here the activity that's leading this top 10 to start looking up. The dark red here is VFriends, which I believe has had some kind of sort of marketing push or something recently. And you might say, well, it's just one project. It's not just one project, though. You can see that this lighter red, which is the Macy, has been sort of like increasing a little bit. Like there's been some days when it's been so low, and now the volumes there are a bit steady. And I do tend to think that Macy tends to really be, if I were to pick just one project out of the top 10 to see what leads the market, it would be Macy. And Macy volumes are also steadily trending upwards. And then the day before that, it was here, it was Creatures, I think. And then the day before that, Macy. And then the day before that, it was this like blue here is Doge Pound. So there's activity across multiple projects across multiple days, which is leading to a sense of increased activity in the top 10. We're seeing this as well in the Zeneca Old Index with, again, multiple projects going up. As usual, the bar just before my update is the lowest bar. If you look at the hourly volumes on OpenSea, they kind of go like this with a sort of daily rhythm. And it seems that I do my report right here. So it always feels a little bit more frightening than it needs to be because we get the lowest bar just, sorry, just before my update. And so Zeneca new, not looking great. And women-led projects, I mean, not going down at the moment, but still not great. So let's look at the longer-term pictures. And yeah, here we have, like, as I said, there's a kind of higher lows forming. I mean, like, that's what it looks like to me. Of course, you know, this is the NFT market, so it could easily go like this and then say, oh, you know what, screw you, and I'm going down like this now. Or you can even go like this. I don't know, like, you know, these charts never predict the future. They just tell us what's going on so far. And what's going on so far is if we look at, so like, let's say we draw this sort of trend line, it feels like we've kind of broken above it. Like, however I draw it, it feels like we're sort of breaking above it. We sort of hit it there, went back down, and instead of going all the way back down like we could have down here, we stopped here and then moved above, and then like that trend line would be something like this, and we've sort of gone just above and then gone down. And like, you know, obviously applying technical analysis from the stock market to a volume chart, a moving average in a volume chart, is very dubious speculation, but it's what we've got, and this is the data that we've got. I still think it's the most useful data that we've got as a leading indicator of the market. And the fact is, the data at the moment looks like it might be turning around and going further. Now, it's done this before here and then gone back down. So, but then again, when I was looking at this, I thought actually there was a possible turnaround there. And so I think so now as well. And then there was the fire sale that kind of, and the war in Ukraine and everything that kind of jumbled everything up. So maybe the recovery was sort of wanting to start here, but it got delayed by the Ukraine uncertainty. We had a bit more of a drop, and now it's kind of back on the cards. Whether that's true or not, we'll see as we watch the stats. I can't predict the future, and neither can the stats. But hopefully we'll, well, yeah, I mean, I hope we'll get to see whatever it is that happens. And I'll certainly keep on pushing these updates. So then if we look at Zeneca Old, there we're seeing a similar pattern. There was a kind of fairly clear line there. We went above, we went back below, we're back above. It's fighting with this kind of resistance line, I guess. And if it continues to stay above and sort of goes back up like this, then that would be the sort of sign that we're heading towards a bull market. And I want to sort of like add a bit to this, that this looks to me like a lot like what it did back in December. And if you were on the Llamaverse Discord back in December, you would have seen like everybody was kind of very bearish around there, saying like, oh, like it's looking really negative. I mean, basically the prices were disastrous, and like it was basically the depths of the bear market. And I saw this thing start going up. I mean, actually, now that I look at this graph in the longer term period, I think it started a little bit earlier, and there was a sort of deviation, like a sort of aberration there, and actually possibly started going up in early December rather than in mid-December. But definitely mid-December, there was a low in volume, and that, like at that point, everybody was just despairing that we were just in bear market. And I spotted these kind of steadily increasing volume, and I was calling for, yeah, it looks like we're heading back into a bear for the second half of December. And it's only in the late half of December, like near the end of December, that people suddenly noticed that, oh yeah, volumes are really high. And then we had this kind of euphoric spikes and all these shite projects trending near the end of it, which then led us back into this decline. Hopefully I don't know, I hope we can play differently the next time, but based on the fact that this bear market was sort of led by Lord Kevin, I think our hopes are quite low. But yeah, so like just looking at this, it's almost like, I mean, this time the spike has been up. Oops. Spike has been up, but then followed by another downward spike. But it could be that we've got a kind of trend up that even started mid-February rather than just now. I don't know. It's one to watch. Like, is this the trend? Are we returning to that sort of trend? We'll see. I'm curious to see that. I wouldn't be surprised if we did head up, and obviously things can go a different way. If we look at Zeneca New, that one is still heading down the toilet, which is expected for me anyway. I don't expect, like, those projects tend to be perceived as lower, higher risk than the blue chips and the Zeneca old projects. So they're less likely to see a reversal early. Like, if people are starting to feel like maybe they want to buy some NFT projects, they're not going to start with Zeneca New, although there are some projects like Doodles, as I mentioned, in Zeneca New as well. The same is true for the women-led projects. There, the trend is still absolutely there. It might continue. It might go up. I don't know. We'll see. But right now, there's no sign of reversal in the women-led projects. So don't expect those projects to start pumping yet. Even if, in fact, it's worth saying, don't expect the top 10 projects to start pumping it. And actually for this, it's worth looking at a new chart that I've just put together, which you might have spotted in my thread. Now, disclaimer before I show this chart, it looks horrendous. It's very spiky, very uneven. It's not quite fit for public consumption, but I just managed to make it work. I got all the individual project charts to work properly, and then I tried to like stick them together for the top 10, and it looks like it looks like what I would expect it to look like, except for the spikiness. So I'm tentatively putting this chart out there, knowing it looks like garbage, knowing it's still in alpha, early alpha, and therefore not to be trusted too much, but maybe we can get some information from this already. So here's the chart. As I said, it looks pretty awful. If you can sort of abstract away the sort of jaggedness of the chart, I don't know why exactly it's going up and down like this. I will be looking into it and trying to figure that out. You still can sort of see a sort of like, oops, I should try and draw this more carefully. A sort of curve there, with then a kind of decrease going down. And I should probably have chosen a different color for this. Yeah, if you look at this, it kind of follows what the index has been telling us, except with a bit of a lag, which is the whole point of the index. But then looking back at this idea of a recovery, if you look at, if the recovery started in early December or even in mid-December, there was still a lot of price fluctuation downwards before the index caught up. So just because we're seeing a recovery in volume doesn't mean the prices are going to start following right away. Here it took a good couple of weeks before the prices as a whole started moving up. So do bear that in mind if you're wanting to use the volume index to make any kind of purchasing decisions. There could still be quite a lot of price corrections ahead. So what it means also is that you have time. Like, we can see if the trend in volume is actually sustained, and if it is, then buy. I mean, this is a much safer buy point. Like, at that point where, okay, like at that point, people were starting to notice, even in the Twitter discords and stuff, that in the Twitters and the discords, that, oh, it looks like maybe we're heading towards a bull market. Like there was some sort of, like, the more switched on people were starting to notice this. The stats had been saying this for some time, and this would have been a perfect time to go and buy into all these projects and catch this whole rise here. What happened here? I mean, with this kind of fall in mid-January and then another bull market, I'm not entirely sure. This second spike feels a bit more artificial to me. I have my sort of suspicions about where it came from, but yeah, it's it nevertheless happened, and that one was also somewhat predicted by the rise in volume. So you could have bought this on this spike and got the second spike, assuming there was a second spike. But anyway, so I'm kind of getting done with this stuff. I'll just have a look at the crypto, just to for completeness. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. You can also just, rather than putting 3 stars, actually, if you just write Swombat, I think it should like highlight it for me so that I can see see the questions, although there's not a lot of chatter. So just ask your questions basically if you have some. So Bitcoin is being relatively boring, which is good. Ethereum is being relatively boring, which is good for NFTs, that is. Gas is just super low. I'm still not entirely clear why gas is that low, but I'm grateful for it. 20 Gwei on average. I mean, I didn't see that from the point where I entered NFTs, so I'm quite happy that to that. And I don't know, maybe it's because of the RC721A contracts, maybe it's because of the new OpenSea contracts. Either way, it seems like the Ethereum network is under less strain than it was before, and this is really good conditions for the NFT market to revive. And so I'm kind of hoping that we do see this, and that would be which artificial spikes do you mean? So somebody's asking, what is your hypothesis for the artificial spikes? You mean these two, or do you mean the spikes on the price chart? And I'll answer once I get the answer to that follow-up, the clarification question. What do you think it will take for NFTs to enter into the real estate market, and how far away do you think we are from that happening? Ooh, the real estate market. I don't know. I've seen some companies doing Web3, sort of tokenized real estate or property funds or that sort of stuff. There's an interesting question there with real property versus digital property, which is, I don't think if you have a Bored Ape and you lose your seed phrase and somebody steals your Bored Ape, people just go like, yeah, whatever, you didn't have good security issues or whatever, you clicked on a dodgy contract, you allowed somebody to steal your crypto, whatever, it's your problem, it's the Wild West. I seriously doubt that anybody's going to accept that for somebody's house. Imagine if you're in your house, you've bought it, it's been, let's say it's your house that's been in your family for generations, and you have a token that represents ownership of the house, and somebody hacks your wallet or whatever, you click on the dodgy link, which many people do, and if we expand this to the general population rather than just people who are into Web3, there's definitely going to be a lot of people falling for these kind of scams. And so let's say you click on something and you lose the token that represents your house, and somebody shows up and says, right, you're out because I bought your house. There's going to be issues with that. I don't think that's gonna work out very well. So as a token for owning a house, I'm not sure that makes that much sense. Have NFTs for that. It might work better for other elements, like maybe, I don't know, fractionalize ownership. But even there, I don't know, the amounts of money and the legal system is relatively well designed to handle real estate at the moment. It's got discrimination biases and stuff which need to be resolved, but I don't know. It feels like it's probably my sense is it's not going to be one of the first spaces to enter into NFTs, because the risk of losing your house is just not one that people are willing to bear. I would not put my house as an NFT, just in case I somehow lose the wallet keys or whatever. That would be just ridiculous. So clarification, the one in the price charts. Oh, so why do I think those spikes are there? I have no idea. I need to I just generated this graph 40 minutes ago, 50 minutes ago, and I don't know why it's spiky like this. I'll have to look into it and look into the code and figure out what is causing that spikiness. Intuitively, something to do with some kind of averaging function that's going haywire, would be my guess, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. That's what debugging is for, and that's what I'll be doing for part of the afternoon today. So it's 20 minutes in. The update is basically done. I'll give another 30 seconds in case people have some questions. Thanks to everybody who's watching live, and thanks to anybody who's watching later. I'll if there's any more questions in the next minute or so, I'll happily answer them. Otherwise, I'll close the stream in the next minute. Now, please imagine jingle. Somebody's typing something. Just, you know, our friend is very good at the piano, so it will be a very nice jingle. I mean, maybe not a jingle, it would be more like some background music. I don't know how to respond to, so you said the SP. I don't know what that means. Let's do Camilo. Oh, that one, the spike in late Jan. Okay, so this one. Well, right. I mean, this is almost getting into conspiracy theory zone there, but so like, don't take this as a kind of evidence of anything. But you know, I'm kind of thinking, like, everybody knows that there is potential for market manipulation in NFTs, and I don't know, there was this kind of like, this felt like a long, steady rise in volumes that would have been very hard to artificially manipulate. And I don't think that the people who would artificially manipulate these kind of things would go to the effort of doing this. But then maybe they felt like, oh, didn't quite manage to take advantage of this bull market and it's already going down, like, you know, with all the alien friends and stuff like that. Can we somehow like pump things up a little bit more? If you had the means and, you know, the kind of wallets and stuff to create the activity to, like, you know, do the wash trading and so on, you could probably create this spike in activity and get people to get excited again, only for a short amount of time, like a week. But it could be that this was a manipulated spike. I don't have evidence other than a gut feeling that, I don't know, like, it felt like, you know, look at this, there's a trend that started around then, and then there's this kind of spike that went up here. It's kind of similar to how there's a trend that, let me look at the top 10 graphs because it's a bit easier there. It's kind of similar to how there's a trend that started here, and then there was a kind of dip here. The dip was artificial, the trend was more long term. And here there's a trend that started here, and then there's a spike. Now, nobody, I think, benefited from that dip here, but probably a lot of people benefited from this, especially if they knew that they caused it and they sort of drove the prices to their kind of high tops there, which after that, there was quite a collapse. I mean, there was, if you look at, if I go and load up, do this. I'll load up the Macy chart for this. Yacht Club. So, like this. Like, imagine if you saw that, like, I kind of wanted more of this and it's already collapsing, and if you had a way to kind of create more activity, I don't know, I'm kind of edging towards conspiracy theory type of stuff here, but if you were able to cause more excitement in the market, that spike was quite a good spike to take advantage of, and look how fast it collapsed afterwards. That's, you know, I don't know. My spidey sense tells me that, like, I don't like this. It doesn't feel natural. There was no particular reason why there would be a bull market in late January. There was no lead up to it. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I don't know. I'm dubious, and I know that like the NFT market is easier to manipulate than, say, the Bitcoin market. In the Bitcoin market, I mean, the crypto market is itself quite easy to manipulate, and NFTs are even easier because there's only like 10,000 supply of most of those projects. So I don't know. that just doesn't look quite natural to me. And if you, I mean, if you had the funds and the contacts and stuff to cause this to happen, you would make a ton of money from this. And yeah. Kian says, could LuxRare have led to the post-spike collapse? I don't think so, because LuxRare, like most of the volume in LuxRare was wash trading rather than regular trading. So I don't think it actually had that much of an impact on the market, despite all the excitement and stuff, and the fact that some people made a lot of wrapped ETH from various fees and stuff. The fees were coming from the wash trading, and like you can see that not a lot of people are talking about LuxRare at this point. I think they think that it's what's driving the market now, and I don't think it's what drove the market at that point. I could be wrong. Maybe it is what caused this, but doubt it. And plus, LuxRare, LuxRare launched in early January, as I recall. And the halving, I think, was a bit later than this. But anyway, Mutant Ape Yacht Club was not seeing any wash trading, so it wouldn't have been affected by that. Yeah. Okay, well, we're 27 minutes in. Thank you very much to everybody who dialed in, and to anybody who's watching afterwards. It's been a pleasure to do another update with you, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow, hopefully with an index price chart that doesn't look quite so jagged. We'll see. Wish me luck with the debugging. Have a lovely day. I'm going to hang out on the live chat a little bit longer, and then I'll close that as well. Yeah. Enjoy your Sunday. Take care.